Thank you for being here. Before we start, I want to go ahead and say hi to my good friend, Kristie Wells. I've known her for a long time. I'm just thrilled that she's able to join us today and that Women Communication will be honoring her. She is our communicator for the week and she has some incredible information. But before we start, Kristie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know I have your bio, but I used your bio for the promo, but I really want to hear from you as far as what have you been doing? And I mean, you've been I think, I met Kristie through Social Media Club, South Florida, and she has started an incredible Web 2 social media, and now here we are going to Web 3, so I'm excited for her to come here and share her thoughts on everything. Hi, Kristie. Good morning.
Good morning, Tanya. Thanks for having me. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm Kristie Wells, and I've spent most of my career on the marketing and customer experience side of the house. As Tanya mentioned, my husband, Chris Hewer, and I started Social Media Club back in 2005, and we're fortunate to meet such passionate advocates such as Tanya and others that helped Social Media Club grow into 350 chapters around the world and exposed us to hundreds of thousands of people who wanted to help shape the web, which was an amazing time. I don't know that we'll ever see something as cool as that period, but I think with the launch of the emerging tech around Web 3, we've got a shot, and we've got a shot of actually possibly building a better web this time. I think one of the things that we found when we were heavy in the world of social media back in the mid 2000s is we all had super high hopes of all the great that it'll do, and it's had its ups and its downs, and sometimes social media isn't always good, but we can talk about that later. But anyways, I'm a marketer and customer experience person at heart. I love connecting people, ideas, building amazing products. I'm grateful to be here. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Yeah, let's dig in, Tanya. What you got?
Well, before we start, I also, I remember you went to work for Ancestry.com, and back when you took over that project, I was really surprised. I was so happy for you. How was like that like? Because Ancestry.com now is huge. Like
It
after you leave
is.
them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity. I'm still really good friends with a lot of folks at that company. I joined Ancestry back in 2013, and actually at that time, that was when I stepped down from leading Social Media Club because I had done that for 7 years as my quote unquote side job, which was always a full time job. But when I joined Ancestry, the opportunity to run their global social media program and drive social support online was just too good to pass up. And it was amazing, got to utilize the power of social media to connect people with their family history, and was able to tell some incredible stories, uplift some of the experiences that people were having, connected the world pretty much around those tales that come through our ancestors all the way through the people of today. And it was great. I was there for 3 years, learned a lot, pushed the envelope a lot, and it was great. It was a really good time.
And then you went on to work. I mean, pretty much Christie has her own uh, digital agencies for 15 years, and you literally have been in the forefront. And also, as a women communicator, what are your thoughts about Web 2, and then now we're going to Web 3 because women communication. Our goal is to bring our members into Web 3 because we're very excited about this.
Yeah, and I should say, as a communicator, I'm actually horrible, as you all are probably noticing now, about communicating my background, and what I've done in my career. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Like I said, I've been in marketing and customer experience most of my entire career. And while my titles and my roles have been, changing over the years, everything that I do is really about making connections, helping people tell their stories, really kind of honing in and ensuring that consumers can buy the right product at the right time, and it's the right value for them. And that's just where my sweet spot is and where I just really enjoy focusing my efforts. I have had my own agency at Hockneyum we launched that in 2007. We run a lot of client projects through that, large and small. I've been doing that with my husband, Chris Hewer, as I mentioned earlier. And I've also, worked in a lot of different startups, directly and indirectly. I've worked with a couple of corporations. Ancestry was one of them. Built some influencer programs for folks like Southwest. We did a great influencer program, bringing people into the Napa region and exposing them to really intimate music shows while they enjoyed great food and wine. Worked with Lenovo a little bit during CES, where we brought influencers in the social media space to CES and got them to, expose early on in some really cool experiences that Lenovo and we partnered on. And I think it's interesting, as somebody who's a techie and in marketing, I'm not really a techie. I'm in tech, but I wouldn't call myself a techie. I know enough to try to engage with the products, utilize the products. Social media and a lot of the web 2, was so amazing because I think it gave people a voice early on, and the technology was a little difficult at starting. Like, I think about people who were blogging back on technologies like Typepad and some of these others, and then thankfully, like Matt Mullenweg and the crew created WordPress, which made blogging a lot easier for a lot of us. And then you had Facebook and Twitter, and then eventually Instagram and YouTube, and you started having all these platforms come out where communicators can really take ownership of sharing what they were working on, utilizing their own voices. And I think that was super powerful. And I think that's the interesting thing about the Web3 technologies that are coming out. You see, and first, I guess, for folks at Web3, it's all encompassing right now. I mean, you'll hear people call it the metaverse. You have folks who've been in crypto. You have people who've been building on the blockchain for 7-8 years. You've got NFTs seem to be the hottest ticket in town right now. And just to be totally open, like, I am learning as fast as I can. I've played in the world of crypto for years. I haven't done well. It's a learning process. I don't sit on top of it as much as I should. But I think it's interesting when you start looking at how things like NFTs can help artists who have not made money over their career actually all of a sudden, be able to launch a series and become millionaires overnight. And I think this is incredibly powerful for people to be able to take ownership and have the ability to control, how their work gets out there. But it's also the wild, wild west. It's really kind of chaotic. There's, the whole point of Web3 is it's decentralized, which there's positives and negatives to that. And, there's unfortunately some underbelly right now too, where people are calling it rug pulls, right? It's a terminology where people are like getting scammed out of money because they bought NFTs that weren't legit, or they got into these altcoins that were, pump and dump schemes. And so I think that there's a lot of education, much as what we saw when Web 2 launched, long before we called it social media. I think there's going to be a concerted effort of all of us coming together to make sure that people understand fully what they're getting into, the questions they have to ask to make sure the projects they're supporting are legit, and really just kind of learning what the potential of these tools and this technology can actually bring forth.